We are now joined by Virunga Park, the Communications Director of the Virunga National Park, just to talk about this closure of the park. Mr. Virunga, the Virunga Park that was closed to tourists for 20 days after the May 11th incident will finally remain closed until the end of the year. What changed since that time?
Qu'est-ce qui a changé depuis la première décision que vous avez prise?
We had incidents last month on May 11th, which resulted in the kidnapping of 2 British tourists, the injury of one of our drivers, and the death of one of our EcoGuard colleagues. This led us to question our security system in order to analyze it and try to understand why we experienced this incident, but also, and above all, to set up a more reinforced security system. That is why we have suspended tourism until an international security audit firm carries out this work and presents us with recommendations and measures to be implemented to strengthen security. We thought we could do this until June the 4th, but unfortunately we realized that the task is a little more difficult, so we will continue to do it. Now, even if we have to decide until the closing date, it would be a bit risky to say until the end of 2018, because if we manage to implement all the measures, we are going to open up tourism immediately, so it can be a question of weeks as well as a question of months. We hope it will be done as soon as possible. Mr. Virunga, this is bad news for tourism operators, don't you think? The closure of tourism is very bad news for operators, both tourist operators and other stakeholders in the sector. It represents a huge economic loss because tourism generates several millions of dollars for the local community, but we hope to be able to remedy this very soon. Would it be difficult to put an amount to this closure? But it's definitely going to be millions. We hope to be able to make a definitive correction very soon to all our partners and stakeholders. And given the recurrence of attacks in the park, one might tend to think that management is not doing enough to secure it. We are working together with the military to conduct joint operations. We have strengthened our security forces, but Virunga's challenges are a little more complex than that, and we hope that this time we will overcome them with the goodwill and involvement of everyone. So, the government is involved in the forefront because the ICCN, which is the Congolese government's arm for nature conservation, its efforts are reinforced by those of the army, but we wanted to broaden the sphere at the international level in order to be able to benefit from a more substantial contribution. And where is the threat to the Virunga National Park coming from? It's hard to put a name to every incident we know of. Virunga National Park faces a great challenge from armed groups. There are several, but the part that we have opened to tourism has been cleaned up by the actions of armed groups. Our security arrangements had allowed us to conduct operations and completely clean up the volcano sector and the eastern front of the volcanoes and gorillas. So that is how we were able to launch tourism operations in this area. Now that we have had these incidents, investigations are currently ongoing, and I'm not allowed to go into this at length, but investigations which are underway are trying to identify the origin of this threat that has resurfaced in the gorilla and volcano sectors so that we can stop it altogether.